Good evening and welcome to tonight's board meeting. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Nikki.
Ms. Applebaum? Mr. Applebaum?
Here.
Mr. Jacob?
Here.
Mr. Major?
Here.
Ms. Mogerman?
Here.
Dr. Ciortino?
Here.
Ms. Feldman?
Here. Special recognitions. Tonight we have several. Parkway Alumni Association's Granting Dreams Awards, the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Poster Contest winners, PNEA scholarships, Missouri Scholars 100, Missouri Scholars Academy, and Scholastic Books Essay Contest winner. First of all, we're going to hear from John Kilper, who is president of the Parkway Alumni Association, to learn about the Granting Dreams program. In addition, we are honoring winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Poster Contest, the Parkway NEA Scholarship winners, students elected as Missouri Scholars, and recognizing students who have been chosen for the 2013 Missouri Scholars Academy. We'll also meet the grand prize winner of a Scholastic Books Major League Baseball Essay Contest. Please welcome John Kilper, Parkway Alumni Association President, to the podium. Earlier this week, the Alumni Association recognized recipients of the Granting Dreams program. The Granting Dreams program, funded by the Alumni Association, is designed to turn dreams into realities for Parkway students who are eager to further their learning or explore new opportunities. John, good evening.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the board for having me this evening. And I'm here this evening to give you a brief update on all the work that the Parkway Alumni Association has done over this last year, and to say thank you for your continued support for our organization in its mission to encourage communication among alumni and fostering programs that serve and support the Parkway community. There are three facets to our mission: service to students, service to staff, and service to alumni. And I'll just briefly hit all three of those, starting with the Granting Dreams program. Earlier this week, Monday night I believe, we awarded almost $17,000 in grants to more than 180 students, along with 11 community resource grants. There were lots of applications, and I know that the selection committee had a real tough time this year, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. So there were about 300 people right here in this in attendance that evening, and it was really exciting to hear all the things that the students are going to use that money for, summer programs and all that. And then with respect to our mission for serving staff, was a couple weeks ago we had the Parkway Appreciation Night, where the Alumni Association awarded its Albert Awards to the outstanding first through fifth year teachers for a total of $5,000. And that's always a great event to see how those teachers are impacting their students and the creative ways that they teach, I guess, and it's really inspiring. And then finally, for our service to alumni, this year was also a Hall of Fame year. In the fall, we inducted 20 outstanding graduates, alumni of Parkway, and that's also really exciting to hear how those graduates have taken their educations at Parkway, built on that, and then done great things for their communities and really all over the world. We had a general from Afghanistan, and then we had another lady who was in Africa doing some work over there. So it's really exciting. So again, thank you for your support for our organization's mission, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Next, we would like to recognize the winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Poster Contest and the Parkway NEA Scholarship winners. Please welcome the president of the PNEA, Jawanda Bozeman. And while Mrs. Bozeman is making her way down to the podium, I'd like to say this is her last or second to last meeting with us as she's about to retire. I would like to thank you, Jawanda, for all of your service to the district, to the teachers of the district, most recently the students of the district before that. You've always been a pleasure to work with, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you, and ditto. And good evening, President Feldman, Vice President Mogerman, board members, Dr. Marty, and Ms. Stover. Thank you again for the opportunity to recognize our 2013 winners of the Martin Luther King Essay Poster Contest. This year's theme, Through Justice, Peace, and Righteousness, I am a drum major for the dream of Dr. King. Dr. King was a man with a dream, and he gave his life to make that dream come true for all. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Phyllis Calvin Barnes, Chair of the Parkway NEA Human Rights Committee and Reading Specialist at Mason Ridge Elementary, to present the awards this evening. Phyllis.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone who helped to make this event possible and give a warm welcome to all of our students and their guests. Dr. King lived for less than 40 years, yet the impact of his efforts for a more just society continue to inspire us more than 40 years after his death. Having students participate in events such as this contest both honor his memory and teach new generations about his legacy. What a fitting tribute to the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King. This year we had over 75 entries from 7 schools around the district. I truly appreciate the continued support of this wonderful opportunity for Parkway students. We're pleased to be able to honor the students who created such inspirational words and images to support the theme. Through justice, peace, and righteousness, I am a drum major for the dream of Dr. King. This year's theme is taken from Dr. King's final sermon at the Ebenezer Baptist Church, given just 2 months before his death. It was such an important sermon that parts of it are inscribed upon the Martin Luther King Jr. National Memorial in Washington, D.C. While this year's theme is definitely important, it wasn't particularly easy to understand and posed quite a challenge for our students to represent in words and pictures. I would encourage you all to take an opportunity to reflect upon Dr. King's sermon at some point in an effort to truly appreciate how well our students rose to meet that challenge. The posters and essays that the students created are being shown on the screen, and students, would you please come forward as your name is called. Several of our district winners went on to win at the state level as well, and I will note any state level winners as the students are being recognized. Clarine Liu from Sorrento Springs, first place, kindergarten and first grade. Clarine was also one of our state level winners. Rachel Land, Shenandoah Valley, second place, kindergarten and first grade. Rachel was also one of our state level winners. Lily Henroyd, Shenandoah Valley, third place, kindergarten, first grade. We have a mighty talented bunch of kindergarten and first graders this year because Lily was also one of our state level winners. Congratulations, girls. Tess Beccarie, first place, second and third grade from Mason Ridge. Some of you may remember Tess from a few years ago. She was also a district winner when she was in kindergarten, and Tess is also a state level winner. Refa Reza, Shenandoah Valley, second place, second and third grade. Refa was also a winner last year. Rohit Krishnamurthy, Shenandoah Valley, third place, second and third grade. Rohit is also one of our state level winners. Congratulations. Now on to our fourth and fifth graders. Isabella Siegel from Mason Ridge. Isabella was one of our first place winners, and she was tied with Sophie Sepko, who's also from Mason Ridge. Sophie was also one of our state-level winners. Jeffrey Keller, Shenandoah Valley, second place tie. Jeffrey shares this honor with Alexis Nedreau from Mason Ridge. Alexis is also one of our previous district-level winners. Stavros Humphrey, Mason Ridge, third place. On to our middle school students. April Moon, Central Middle, first place. Some of you may remember April from last year, as she was also a district winner, and April is also one of our state finalists. Congratulations. Summer Holt, second place tie. Sharing that honor with Summer is Nina Marlotte, also from Southwest Middle. And last but certainly not least, we have Elise Duffier from Southwest Middle. Congratulations, Elise. At this time, I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the parents, family members, and staff members who are here in support of their students. Please stand and be recognized. I would also like to thank the several Parkway NEA members for their assistance in organizing the contest and serving as judges. And as someone already noted, please allow me to take a moment to give a special recognition to PNEA President Joanda Bozeman, who has always given a tremendous amount of support to help coordinate this contest at both the district and state level while she's led this organization. As it was mentioned earlier, Joanda is retiring at the end of this school year, and her dedication to this project and tonight's celebration is just one of the many ways the impact of her leadership has been felt during her time in Parkway. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Well, Joanda has been doing quite a lot for the students and staff of this district for several years. We don't have time to mention all of her awards and accolades, and as Dr. King would say, that isn't important. However, we are certainly able to say that Joanda has dedicated her life to serving others and has been our drum major for justice, peace, and righteousness. I'm sure that I speak for many when I say that she will truly be missed. So thank you so much for the opportunity to recognize our students' achievements. Appreciate it.
I still have to get up here and say something. Well, anyway. In addition to our Martin Luther King essay poster winners, we would also like to recognize our Parkway NEA scholarship winners. Parkway NEA gives several scholarships. We give the Vito Maniaci Professional Development Scholarship, one $500 scholarship, and two $250 scholarships. As some of you know, Vito passed away earlier this year, and the donations and support for his scholarship fund were just overwhelming, and we are just so thankful for that. In addition to that one, we give the Gene Olson Memorial Scholarship, which is, Gene Olson was a librarian at McKelvey School. And that one is given to a Parkway NEA member's child who is planning to pursue a career in education. We also give scholarships to high school students at each of the 4 high schools who are pursuing a career in education. So at this time, I would like to recognize the student winners first. And I don't think she's here. Receiving the Jean Olson Memorial Scholarship is the daughter of Melanie Maxville, who is a teacher at Highcroft Ridge, and her daughter is Samantha Maxville. She will receive a $500 scholarship. Our other high school winners, Jennifer Bueller from South High. Jennifer? Jennifer will receive a $500 scholarship. Kirsten Miles, who is also from Parkway South. And I don't know, Alyssa Earhart, is she here? I don't think so, I didn't think she. And this year, we did not have any entries from two of our high schools. So South High received 3. Central High's winner was Alexandra Newman. And I don't believe Alexandra is here. I think she had an AP final coming up tomorrow. Okay, on to our Vito Maniaci scholarship winners. Our big winner, the $500 scholarship, goes to Joel Rademeyer. Joel is a teacher at South Middle. All right, our second winner, Jason Lavanas, teacher at West Middle. I'm sorry, Joel Rademeyer received the Linda Favero Memorial Scholarship, and Linda Favero was a teacher at Mason Ridge. The $500 Vito Maniaci scholarship goes to Bridget Barnhart, teacher at McKelvey and Teacher of the Year at McKelvey this year. Bridget. An additional $250 scholarship goes to Elizabeth Seibel, teacher at Shenandoah Valley. And as I mentioned before, the Parkway NEA Board of Directors and the Scholarship Committee decided, because of the overwhelming support that we received in donations in Vito's memory, that additional scholarships would be given to teachers since we were suspending tuition reimbursement, and there are many, many teachers in Parkway working on national board certification. So these teachers will also receive a monetary scholarship. Maria Flick from South Middle. And I think Maria is the Teacher of the Year at South Middle. Maria Lambing, teacher at McKelvey. And a former student of mine, Christy Prudence, who used to be SciTech. She's a teacher at Wren Hollow. Marcy Rademeyer, teacher at Central Middle. And two of our winners from last year that decided to apply again this year and won: Janelle Robinson, teacher at Central High. And Sarah Reeves, also a teacher at Central High. Did I miss anyone? I hope not. Okay, that's all I had. Okay, good. Okay. We have no more money. We ran out. Okay. So, to all the board members, this is very difficult for me. Thank you for everything. You know, as I travel across the state, across the county, the state, the country, and people find out that you work in Parkway, they say, boy, are you lucky. And some of that is because of you, the Board of Education members and the administrators that we work with on a daily basis. And I have to say that your door has always been open, you've always been approachable, and I appreciate that. And I could go on and say a lot more, but I'm going to stop there. But thank you for the 36 years. Yes.
Please welcome Deputy Superintendent Desi Kirchhofer to introduce the 7 students who were named to the Missouri Scholars 100.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here tonight to recognize so many students and staff members. It's always enjoyable to take some time to celebrate. Sometimes we're moving along at such a rapid pace that often we don't get the opportunity to do that. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Congratulations, Jowanda, again. And like President Feldman said, I'm here to introduce 7 students who were named to the Missouri Scholars 100. A little bit about the program. The Missouri Scholars 100 is a statewide program that honors 100 of Missouri's top academic students in the graduating class of 2013. The Missouri Scholars program is sponsored by the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals. Schools across Missouri were invited to nominate candidates for this statewide recognition. Each student nominated had to first meet criteria of an academic decathlon, which included 10 events designed to assure academic strength of the student. To meet the decathlon requirements, the student, this is pretty impressive, the student must have a minimum GPA of 3.750, a minimum ACT score of 29, or an SAT score of 1900, be ranked in the upper 10% of the class, and have taken upper-level classes in mathematics, science, English, and foreign language. The student must also have excelled in attendance and be an exemplary school citizen and be involved in school activity programs. The students were recognized recently at a luncheon at the Missouri Scholars Program on Sunday, April 28th in Columbia, Missouri. And now I'd like to introduce those students. First, from Central High, Jonathan Brand. Also from Central High, Louis Wang. Louis? From North High, Anuj Sunny Shabra. Anuj here. From South High, I'm not sure if they're in attendance tonight as well, Leela Chapman. And give Leela. And also from South High, Isha Pathank. From West High, Andrew George. Andrew? Also from West High, Shalini Sabaro. Congratulations to all those students on those awesome accomplishments.
Next, please welcome Dr. Denise Papillo, Coordinator of Gifted and Grants, to introduce the students selected for the 2013 Missouri Scholars Academy.
Good evening. As Mr. Kirchhoffer said, this is a great evening to be at the board meeting. Congratulations, Jawanda, and thank you for your service. I am pleased to be here this evening to present to you 8 very distinguished and accomplished Parkway High School students. These students were chosen from a pool of literally thousands across Missouri to participate in the exclusive Missouri Scholars Academy. The Academy is a 3-week residential program held on the campus of the University of Missouri in Columbia. This program provides a unique educational experience for only approximately 300 students, and those are our state's finest young scholars. The application process for participating was rigorous and involved not only academic achievement, but leadership capacity and creative problem solving. Some of the characteristics the Academy looks for in the selection process are intellectual curiosity, students with a broad range of interests, the ability to think analytically and conceptually, students who are self-starters and independent, risk takers, students of social maturity, students who are honest and considerate of others, students with the ability to express him or herself orally, in writing, or in the arts, and finally, students who possess a good sense of humor. These students are undoubtedly amongst the finest from Parkway School District. And now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Kim Linscock, our gifted specialist for the high school, and she will introduce the students.
Thank you. I would like to present the 2013 Missouri Scholars Academy finalists from the Parkway School District. So as their names are called, I would like them to come forward. The final nominees from Central High School, Stephen He. From Central High, Amudha Porcellian. Also from Central High, Terrence Huang. From North High, Abigail Lammers. From South High, Lydia Lynn. Also from South High, Daniel Hukaroth. From West High, Sheng Hao Ki. Also from West High, William Tong. It was my pleasure to work with all the candidates from the high schools. They did a great job, and congratulations on such a huge honor. And if the parents could also stand up for having such great kids.
For our final recognition of the evening, please welcome Cindy Crone, English Language Arts teacher from Central High, to introduce the winner of the Scholastic Major League Baseball's Breaking Barriers in Sports in Life essay contest, honoring Jackie Robinson's legacy.
Thank you all so much for having me tonight and to honor one of my students. Probably everybody wouldn't be surprised that as an English teacher, I'm a lover of books. And I've read many books, of course, in my career. And probably one of my favorites is Sue Monk Kidd's Secret Life of Bees. And in that novel, it's about a teenage girl who's struggling to find herself, to find her identity. And she also has a fascination with bees. That's kind of where the title comes in. And so she has this big fascination with bees that are buzzing in the wall of her bedroom. And one day she gathers some of the bees in a jar, and she keeps them and she looks at them every night. One day she decides she needs to let the bees go. So she opens up the jar and the bees fly out and she lets them go free. But then suddenly a voice inside of her says, "Lily, your jar is open." And it's a sign to Lily that she has an opportunity to have her voice heard, to do something for herself and to find herself. And as a teacher, I think one of the most important things we can do is help our students have an opportunity to have their voice heard, whether it's to get up in front of people and speak, whether it's to play an instrument in the band, whether it's to win contests. And an opportunity came my way through Scholastic Books and Major League Baseball. And they offered the Jackie Robinson Breaking Barriers essay contest. And so a couple of my students entered, and I was so excited. And Jennifer's essay stood out. She wrote about something that a lot of girls don't talk about very freely, and that's a poor body image. And she shared in her essay some very personal things about how she struggled with that body image. And so I entered her into the contest. It was, as I said, sponsored by Scholastic Books and Major League Baseball, and the students were told to write an essay using any one of Jackie Robinson's 9 values that helped him to cross a very, very important barrier on April 15th, 1947, when he entered the major leagues. And so in his honor, his daughter, Sharon Robinson, who is part of the Jackie Robinson Foundation, she helped to start this contest. I believe the contest started in 1997. Originally, it was actually not open to high school students. It was only open to grades 4 through 8. But she opened it up to 9th graders in the last 2 years. And this year, Jennifer, of course, entered the contest with her essay about struggling with the body image, and especially using courage to help her through that, which is one of Jackie Robinson's 9 values. So she entered, and of 18,700 entries, Jennifer was the grand prize winner. it still blows me away. And she won, the prizes were amazing. She won a trip for two to the World Series this summer. She and I both won a laptop computer. And then I think probably one of the best prizes of all was a visit to my classroom last week from Sharon Robinson, Jackie Robinson's daughter. What an amazing woman with an amazing story. And to share her father and his legacy was so wonderful for all of us. So I want to congratulate and have Jennifer Whalen, ninth grader, Central High, come forward, grand prize winner, Breaking Barriers Essay Contest.
Thank you to our outstanding students, their families, teachers, principals for joining us tonight. We're honored to have you with us. At this time, we will take a brief break and we'll resume the board meeting shortly. There are cookies and brownies. Please enjoy.
Won't you kiss me once, baby? Just a kiss goodnight, maybe. You and I will fall in love. Some people say that love's a game you just can't a game you just can't win. If there's a way, I'll find it someday, and then this pool will rush in. Put your head on my shoulder, whisper in my ear, baby, words I want to hear. Tell me, put your head on my shoulder.
Barcelona, where the winds all blow. The churches don't have windows, but the graveyards do. Me and my shadow are wrestling again. Look out, stranger, there's a dark cloud moving in. But if you could hear the voice in my heart, it would tell you I'm afraid I'm alone. Won't somebody please hold me, release me, show me the meaning of mercy, let me loose.
be near each time you call, and the only heart I own for you and you alone. That's all. That's all. I can only give you country walks in springtime, and a hand to hold when leaves begin to fall, and a love whose burning light will warm the winter night. That's all. That's all. There are those, I am sure, who have told you they would give you the world for a toy. All I have are these arms to enfold you, and a lifetime can never destroy. If you're wondering what I'm asking in return, dear, you'll be glad to know that my demands are small. Say it's me that you'll adore for now and evermore. That's all. That's all. If you're wondering what I'm asking in return, dear, you'll be glad to know that my demands are small. Say it's me that you'll adore for now and evermore. That's all. That's all.
We sure know how to clear a room. 4.0, additions, corrections, and modifications to the agenda. We have one tonight where we are going to add to 10.02, I'm sorry, the appointment of Jill Renninger as assistant principal at Southwest Middle School. So when we vote on the consent items, that will include Jill's appointment. Citizen statements. I see that we have 4 here. I don't know if I've got four people in here. You're here? Okay, Stephen Rutherford. When you come down, please state your name and your address. And we like to keep the statements to about 3 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Rutherford. I live at 1929 Pine Run Drive, Chesterfield, Missouri. I have 1 child in Parkway Central High School, 1 child in Parkway Central Middle School, and 3 children in Highcroft Ridge Elementary School. I am here tonight to thank the board and the Parkway School District for your support of intercultural education through allowing exchange students at Parkway. I grew up in Chesterfield. I was a YFU exchange student to Japan 28 years ago. I still keep in touch with my Japanese family. When I moved back to the U.S. After 8 years of living in Japan, I can say it had quite an impact on my life. My wife is Japanese. We chose Parkway. We chose Chesterfield because of Parkway. And when the time was right, we've hosted 3 YFU exchange students, 1 from Japan, 1 from Thailand, and this year 1 from Jordan, who is a State Department scholarship winner. So I'd like to thank particularly Nancy Ernest, who is the district-wide coordinator for exchange students, Tim McCarthy, the principal of Central High, for allowing my family to host another exchange student, Jenny Marquardt, and the German teacher at Parkway North, Suzanne Greenwald, who have been wonderful supporters, not only for the students coming, but students going. YFU is a nonprofit that awards $1.6 million to high school students across the United States every year, and for the 3rd year in a row, a Parkway North student has won a full scholarship to Germany from YFU. And that's an $11,000 scholarship. She will live in Germany for the 2013 to 14 school year. And that's the 3rd year in a row that a North student has won. And that is particularly because of the support that people like Jenny Marquardt and Suzanne Greenwald have given towards international exchange. Now, I did ask 3 students. We had 6 students at Parkway this year from YFU. 3 of them are with me tonight, and I wrote their names down so that they could address you personally. And I'd like to turn it over to the student that I am hosting, Aslan from Jordan. And like I said, he is a State Department scholarship winner from the Kennedy Lugar Yes Youth Exchange Program.
Hello.
Hi. Can you also say your name and your address?
My name is Aslan Libzu. My address is 1929 Pine Run Drive. I'm an exchange student from Jordan, and I attend Parkway Central High School, and it's awesome. So, when I went to the school, I was amazed of how organized it is, and how the workers are always in a good mood. So, and I also want to thank my teachers, Mr. Sellers, Mr. Theobald, Miss Keller, Miss McMahon. Who else? So yeah, I want to thank all of my teachers, and they have been a real good help for me, and all of the students that have been with me. And in the first semester, I joined cross country, and it was really fun. And I was amazed also how all the sports are all organized in Parkway Central too. So I wanted to thank Parkway Central for having me and making my year a better year.
What year are you?
Year? 16, sophomore.
Sophomore?
Yeah.
Okay. And when do you go home?
A month and a bit.
Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thank you.
Thank you. You must be Lena.
Yes. I'm Lena Shekhala, and I'm going to Parkway North. And I wanted to thank you all to welcome me as an exchange student here. And yeah, now the school year is almost over, and I had an amazing time here. And all the teachers were really supportive and helpful. they explained everything 2 times, maybe even 3 times, so that I can understand everything. And yeah, and everyone was really nice to me, and I found a lot of friends. And I attended the swim team in the winter, and it was the first time swimming. And I wasn't really that good, but everyone was helping me and cheering on me, and they introduced me to the group, and I was part of them after a really short time. And the same is now with water polo. I've never done that before, but everyone is helping me to get in, and I really like it a lot. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Germany.
From Germany. Okay, great. Well, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thank you.
What year are you?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eiko Nozaki. I'm from Japan, and I'm going to Parkway North High School. And now I would like to talk about the things which I like in the Parkway North High School. I like the academic lab class and my club activity. At first, academic lab class. I'm sorry. Last semester, I went to the John F. Kennedy High School, and they did not have academic lab class. And as a foreign exchange student, it is hard for me to understand fully each class. So it is good opportunity for me to ask questions in this class. Even more, when I have a trouble to do my homework, my academic lab teacher, Miss Moni, always help me. So academic lab is very helpful for me. And second, club activity. Now I joined animation club because animation is one of the most famous Japanese culture. So I would like to share with the club mate. And this club is much greater as I expect. Club members are very nice, and they are very interested in Japan. So I really like to introduce them Japanese culture. And since I go to the Parkway North School, I feel both teachers and students are very friendly and nice. So I would like to say thank you very much for having me, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Let's see. We are at 6.0, call for executive session. There is none. 7.0, approval for agenda May 8, 2013. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. 8.0 resolutions. There is one, Memorial Day, May 27th. May I have a motion and a second to adopt?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. 9.0 communications. 9.01 calendar of meetings. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education is scheduled for Wednesday, June 12, 2013 at Central Middle School at 7:30 p.m. 9.02 board liaison reports. Yes, Mr. Major.
Let's see, I had the honor of attending the spring fling for Project Parkway last Monday, and we missed y'all. But I thought a very constructive meeting. I was with the Project 2020 crew, and we did get another quick view of North High, and I think shared that with some of the members of that committee. So that part felt great. I thought the presentation on Goal 1 was could not have been better. I mean, very, very concise, very understandable presentation. So kudos on that one. Thank you.
Kevin back there, we should give credit to Kevin.
Absolutely. Is he here still?
No, I don't.
He's a party guy.
And then last Friday, we had the PACCD executive meeting over in the admin building, and spent about an hour and a half with Sandy Collins talking about some concerns around some of the ensemble performances and that sort of thing, and I thought raised some. Every time you think you got this job figured out, somebody raises an issue that totally blindsides you, and I was not remotely aware there were issues there, and I think it was good to get them on the table. I think the tenor of those meetings continues to get better and better, and felt very productive, certainly from my perspective, and I hope equally from the administration's perspective and from PACCD. And then we did have a little bit of business earlier in the evening related to the topic of PACCD, and that's the selection of, is it Dr.?
Yes, it is.
Barbara Zigrang, as she's actually technically an employee of SSD, but she will be our Director of Special Education. So I know that's something that the PACCD folks are eagerly anticipating, and certainly after my time on the Governing Council, I am thrilled with that development. And note that Barbara's initials are BZ, which for those, no, there's nobody else that was in the Navy, but in Navy terminology, the signal flags Bravo and Zulu mean well done. So Dr. Marty and everybody else involved in that selection, well done.
We should probably say that the school board, next Tuesday night, Special School District Board will approve the contract.
Technical, yes.
Yeah, so she's
Not to jump the
officially part of
gun.
their board, but Mr. Carey is informing the board, and I think we'll have a support of the board in that selection.
I did have the opportunity to attend the first annual Earth Day, Parkway Earth Day celebration.
Yes.
It was a fun event. They had a bunch of stuff laid out, and lots of people, lots of vendors and stuff showed up with all their green stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out what kind of trees I planted in my backyard. I just hope it's not the kind that drop the gumballs. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. Bald cypress? I'll make a note of that.
That doesn't sound like a shade tree.
Mrs. Feldman and I attended, along with Dr. Marty, the PTO leadership end-of-the-year dinner and meeting. The current PTO presidents bring their incoming presidents with them and have a nice exchange. I think they had a lot of good discussion. I also attended the final Project Parkway Steering Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, so it's hard to believe we're done with those for the year. You probably want to talk about government relations and PR advising.
Right, we've had a lot of meetings lately, government relations, where we have some of our legislators come and spend some time with us, and we get to talk about education issues, as well as some community members. We had our PR advisory group meeting last week, where our PR advisory group was instrumental in advising us about how to go about our early childhood study. So Paul Tandy shared the results of that study with them, and they had some really good comments about that and raised some other questions. And I think that's it for me.
I know I did something, but I can't remember.
I just want to comment about the year in Project Parkway. The steering committee meetings continued this year with good information, good dialogue, good input from the group. And the citizens groups on Monday nights throughout the year. The organization of the administration and committee chairs, and just giving an opportunity for citizens and administrators, teachers to have input has been very well received. And I think it makes a tremendous difference because it's a groundswell of the entire district community to have input for those who want to, and I think it's making a tremendous difference because the results so far are really very, very good in terms of moving Parkway forward, and that's what it's all about for kids.
I think it's worth noting that one of the meetings that we had was the communications lab with the nurses, and it was it's just amazing the amount of work that they do. 220,000 visits throughout the year that with both staff and students, but it was a very good time, the 2 hours that we spent with them.
Thanks. And do we have some students back there? Would you guys stand up and tell us where you're from? Yeah, come on up. You bothered to stay this late? You get the floor.
I am Becca McMillan from Parkway North. And I'm Alyssa Paul, and I'm also from Parkway North.
Are you guys here for a class, or just because you're interested?
For the teaching class at Parkway
Awesome.
North.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Come back anytime.
Mrs. Feldman, could I just mention this last Sunday, the weather didn't necessarily cooperate, but I just want to give note, Ron Ramspot does the annual, this year was referred to as Let's Move Parkway. It's a day for the community and our students as well as adults come together to really celebrate I think May is National Physical Education Month, and it's an attempt to really, involve our students, our staff into physical activities, wellness activities, and so we had a lot of vendors, a lot of activities moved inside, but I think things went very, very well. A lot of us in attendance thought it was a very, very positive day, and we had, what's that called, pickleball? We have pickleball players from Kansas City here, believe it or not. It's a big deal, pickleball.
We'll have to go next year. We don't want to miss the pickleball.
Yeah, but it was quite an event, and I just want to thank Ron, and I think we've done it 5 or 6 years now, and I think it's growing every year.
That's great, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier when we had a room full of people, but it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and I think that extends to all of our Parkway staff, that we appreciate you all, and it's time that we recognize that this week, one of the last weeks of the school year, and a little video went out today.
A little video went out, and so we hope that people will enjoy it from the board and administration. So I wanted to make sure all your members tune in and watch. Thank you.
All right, and we just before tonight's meeting held a small graduation ceremony in the auditorium here at Parkway Central Middle for some students that are unable to participate in their own graduations next week. And what a joy. It was really great to be able to share that moment with the 4 students. So that was really fun. And then next week, we have 5 graduations. I think probably the highlight of every board member's year when we see
The paycheck.
the paycheck,
The
right.
paycheck, that's our
Don't
paycheck.
spend it all in one place. Okay, great. So now we're going to continue with action items 10.0. May I have a motion and a second to approve the action items? Or is there anything that needs to be pulled to action or closed?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything that needs to be pulled? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries 6-0. 11.0 action items. There are none tonight. 12.0. I'd like to call on Mr. Mark Stockwell, CFO, talk about Goal 6 finance and resource allotment.
Ready for some exciting
We are.
efficiency and effectiveness discussion?
We are.
Yeah, so's the crowd. Okay.
That slide for zero-based budgeting, didn't you? That ought to wake them up.
Basically tonight, I want to, first off, I want to provide an overview of just some of, or an update of some of the Goal 6 work that's gone on the past year or so. And then we'll follow that up with a budget workshop. So we'll have lots of fun. As you all are aware, Goal 6 is to states that we will responsibly and efficiently allocate resources, including finances, facilities, personnel, and time. There are 4 measurable objectives under this goal. The first 2 can be categorized for the most part as efficiency and effectiveness. The third objective is tied to fiscal accountability and transparency. And the fourth objective is related to capital planning and replacement. And I thought I'd just kind of go over a few activities that have gone on past year or so related to each of the measurable objectives. And again, I've kind of combined measurable objectives 1 and 2 simply because they are so related. I think you all recall coming out of Project Parkway, there was recommendations to adjust the elementary school day and then also to move the middle school start time from first tier to second tier. We did that, and in the implementation, we did run into some issues with the transportation timing, and we made some adjustments from that, and I think that's moving forward very well. We also moved forward with the elimination of tuition-funded full-day kindergarten and added a free full-day kindergarten for the 11 and 12 school year. And I think you've seen a couple reports on this so far, but the gist of it is they do preparedness surveys each year, and the first grade teachers all felt that the students coming in after the first year of the free full-day kindergarten, many more of them were more prepared for first grade. So that seems to have worked very well. We also worked on the North area attendance area adjustments. In August 2011, we had McKelvey Elementary School had 622 students, and Craig had 541. And then we also had River Bend, which was extremely underutilized at 239. After the changes, I actually took our most recent projections for next school year, and we're showing 493 at McKelvey, 479 at Craig, and 406 at River Bend. So essentially all of the work that committee did seems to be working. So we don't have large schools there anymore. And River Bend's being utilized probably for the first time in many, many years, or fully utilized for the first time in many, many years. We also have been talking about a food service program reorganization for the past year and a half or so. Mike Koenig started working on this before he retired, and plans have continued, and Marlene picked them up, and we will be implementing changes July 1. We have had we actually operate a satellite production center model. Each high school has a production center in it. We had 4 production centers when we had 22,000 kids. We still have 4 production centers with 17,000 kids, which has caused us to be less efficient. We're going to be eliminating the West High School production center. They'll still prepare food for the West High School, but they won't be preparing food for the middle school and the elementary schools in that area. Through that change, we're eliminating 7 dietary aid positions that will save approximately $180,000 annually. So we're looking forward to those changes, and Marlene's been doing a great job managing that process. One of the challenges we have faced in the food service program, though, is the changes in the national food service guidelines or nutritional guidelines. And Parkway, just like every other school district in the country, has seen pretty significant reductions in participation as a result of those changes. So that is hurting our financials on the food service side some. But one of the things we've done to combat that is when Marlene was promoted from production manager to director upon Mike Koenig's retirement January 1, we replaced her position with a chef. And they refer to him as Chef Dan, and I think you'll all meet him and become well aware of him over the next few months. And actually, we're going to try to get him out and do some promotional work next year to try to get a little more interest in the program. I mean, he actually fixed a great salad for Soups Council a couple weeks ago just to kind of share with us one of the recipes that he's working on. So lots of neat stuff going on there. And the last thing I wanted to mention on the food service program is that I think you're all aware we've been working on a compostable tray grant in the North area, and it's been very, very successful. And what we're proposing, and it's included in the budget projections that I'll be presenting later on, is that we expand that program district-wide. Essentially, I was amazed we had some students come to Soups Council or Soups Action Team to make a presentation on this, and I had no idea. Essentially, by expanding that program district-wide, we will double the amount of waste, garbage and trash that we keep out of the landfills as opposed to what we currently do through our recycling program. So it can really have a significant impact on what's going into our landfills. It's a great instructional piece for our students. But I did want to make the point that to fund this, it would require us to do a 10-cent adjustment in our meal prices for next year. So I wanted to throw that out there tonight and see if there was any opposition to that, and I'll bring it up again during the budget piece. As far as energy efficiencies, you know, Eric Leaders and a lot of other people have been extremely busy in the district over the past year. We've now have solar panels on, I believe, 29 of our 32 buildings. We have 3 buildings that the roofs were not suitable for solar panels. So what we are proposing, and again, this is included in the budget presentation later, we're proposing that we add ground-mounted solar panels at those 3 buildings. There's a little extra cost in this, but it will then allow us to have panels at all of our schools. And actually, even though there is some cost with it, the payback period on it is less than 5 years. So after 5 years, they'll they will have paid for themselves and will be generating additional revenues for the district. We've also, Eric and actually Mike Mertens and Dean Rhodes worked very closely with Piermont Elementary School last year, working on behaviors and also HVAC system adjustments to make that building more efficient, and they were so effective there that they expanded it to several other schools this year. I think Eric's worked with several schools, but I know McKelvey and South Middle and a few others, and we have been so successful in that program that we were recognized by the EPA earlier in the year for having reduced our energy usage by 10% from the prior year, which is a huge change. But then more recently, we also hit another landmark where we actually, our energy usage dropped down 20% below our baseline year that the EPA tracks, which is year 2000. So our energy usage now is 20% below what it was 12 years ago, or 13 years ago now. So those things are happening. We're also have done retro commissioning work at South High and North High School. We have a program that we're systematically converting our lighting from T12 to T8s, which are much more efficient lighting. Eric is bringing forward a proposal to begin purchasing 25-watt bulbs, light bulbs, as opposed to the current 32. Again, they're a little bit more expensive up front, but they pay for themselves in like a year and a half. So again, I will touch on that a little bit later with the budget discussion. And we're also installing low-flow faucet conversions in faucets throughout the district to reduce water usage. So there's a lot of work going on with the energy efficiency piece. And then finally, I also wanted to just touch base on the compressed natural gas program or project that's moving forward. We're in the design phases for the fueling station. We did run into some road bumps there. Basically, we had originally planned to do a slow fill pumping station, and what we didn't realize is you can't build one of those within 50 feet of an overhead power line. And if you think about our transportation facility lot, it's covered by overhead power lines. So we had to change plans, and we're now designing a fast fill station, which we can locate on that lot. And basically, we'll be moving buses to the station instead of filling them up overnight. But we do believe it'll be just as effective, and we do project that we will save in the neighborhood between $100,000 and $150,000 a year just on the differences in the prices between compressed natural gas and diesel fuel. So that's moving forward. And moving on to the next activity is one that we've talked about a lot over the past 2 years, and that is the budget reduction process. I think the last time I talked to you, I had shared with you that I didn't think we were going to meet our 2012-13 goal of $8 million in savings, primarily because we had enrollment adjustments that just ended up changing some staffing in the elementary staffing. So I was projecting we were going to save about $7.4 million. Well, as we went through the second year of budget cutting, what we did during the year was when we had vacancies occur, we knew we were going through this process, so we just held them open, anticipating additional reductions for next year. And we now have between 10 and 15 of those positions just sitting there that are, and some of them have been sitting there most of the year. So basically, I now believe we're going to save more than $8 million this year as a result of that additional work. So, yeah, it's actually gone very, very well for something that's not very, very unpleasant to do. But what we saw then is we eliminated 127 full-time positions, 36 part-time positions for this year. Again, you add another 10 to 15 to that of the vacancies. And then what we're proposing for next year is a $4 million reduction, which includes another 40 positions. And actually, if you look at our budget, it will state that we're going to be reducing 48.8 budgets, or 48.8 positions. That includes the reorganization of the food service program as well. And that wasn't in our original budget cutting recommendations. So over a 2-year period, we're looking at approximately 200 full and part-time positions that have been reduced. And that's, along with the other non-staffing reductions, generates about $12 million in annual ongoing savings for the district. So it appears that we've done what we suggested we were going to do. And again, this is the chart that I've shown over and over and over. Top 2 lines, red's expenses, blue's revenues. You can see expenses exceeded revenues for a 3-year period in there. Our projections moving forward show that we're going to be a little bit over break even this year, and then revenues will exceed expenditures slightly over the next 5 years, and we will. If you look at the lower section, you can see that we will be rebuilding fund balances up to the minimum reserve requirements, which is the purple flat line. And basically, I think we're going to accomplish our goals, or it appears we will. So that's a good thing. So I think the budget status is, revenues and expenditures are balanced through the next 5-year projection period. Fund balances will be restored to board policy requirements, and I believe we were able to do that without compromising our mission. So that's measurable objectives 1 and 2. Measurable objective 3, we actually had our AAA bond rating reaffirmed last fall when we issued some refunding bonds. And at that time, the rating agencies did share with us that, actually they put it in the write-up, that if we didn't balance our budgets moving forward and we continue to spend down reserves, it could jeopardize that rating. But I think we're in good shape now moving forward. We did receive a clean, or what's considered an unqualified opinion on our past year's financial reports and audit. And just this past April, we were notified that we have been awarded another 10th consecutive Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for our 2011-12 financial report from the Association of School Business Officials. So I think we're meeting our measurable objectives there. And then measurable objective 4, again, capital improvement and planning. We are entering our last summer of bond fund spend down. We have about $5.4 million in capital projects planned for this summer, and then our bond funds will be gone. We will be spending about another $1 million on the fueling CNG fueling station, but again, that isn't funded by bond funds. So, and also supporting this goal, the Facilities 2020 advisory has been meeting for 2 years. This group developed a preliminary capital renewal list. The North High School Facility Master Plan has been completed over the past year. And as we move forward, we expect to expand participation. And I think we have to actually begin to start talking about or thinking about when we would consider, or you would consider, asking voters for another bond issue. As when we get through this year, there won't be any monies available for additional capital replacement or improvement. And at our last Facilities 2020 advisory a couple weeks ago, we did talk a little bit about the possibility of looking at a November 2014 date. Again, that's a long ways off, but you know, thinking forward, we do need to start planning for that. And then from a long-term perspective, there are a number of areas that have been identified for additional study. The middle school model, the future of our 5 high school campuses, our current intervention programs, the extended study of an extended day, academic day and or year, and then our co-curricular programs for all students. So those are the areas that we plan to dig into a little deeper moving forward. And at this point, I think we're ready for questions, and if you have any real detailed ones, I'm going to have to bring subject area experts up to help.
Thanks, Mark. Go ahead.
2 questions. In your long-term recommendations here, it seems like I know we're not quite there yet, but we might need something on early childhood as we try to address what those needs might be long-term. It might be different than what we have today. And second, you and I have talked about this a lot, but you know, the board policy says 17.3% going forward. We need you to help us understand if that's the right amount, or or do we need to be even more conservative and raise that?
And I do, actually, that's a good question. I do have just a comment on that in my budget presentation.
Okay, I can wait.
If you want, I can answer it now or share that later.
Let's wait.
Okay.
We'll anticipate.
Let it. Okay.
I would just, I think that your comment about early childhood is important on that long-term list. Since the study has been completed, that needs to be probably added to that list. Certainly, we will be doing that. We're already starting to look at some plans.
Okay.
Mark, I think it's amazing that your projections are so right on.
Well, I hope they're right on. I feel comfortable that they're still conservative. So we're going to take a look at it. I did get a little bit of bad news today, but it's still good. We're still good. But I will share that in a minute as well.
Wow, we
More
really
anticipation.
Have we really have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Mark?
I'm going to have to correct my wife. She thought I was Mr. Right.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move right along then to 13.0, to the
Absolutely.
preliminary budget discussion?
It's not funny. Yeah. Okay, moving on to more exciting stuff, and some of this is a little bit of a duplicate, but I just want to make sure it was in my budget presentation. Again, we've had 2 years of a lot of very difficult work that involved a lot of people, but at the end of the day, we have balanced our budget. Revenues will be exceeding expenditures, and we will be rebuilding fund balances. Again, doing it without compromising our mission. So I wanted to make that our budget highlights. Again, I won't go through this again unless you have specific questions on it, but basically these are the budget cuts from this year, what we're projecting for next year, and moving forward. But essentially this pie chart shows our revenues projected for next year. We're looking at operating revenues of $218.7 million. 92% of that is generated locally. 5.2% comes from the state, and 2.8% from the federal government. And this chart, or this schedule, allows us to compare. The first column is the last year's actual revenues. Second column is current year projected, and then we go out 5 years. And there's just a couple things I wanted to point out. Some of the bad news I got today. We received our May property tax distribution today, or actually got notice of it yesterday, got the money today. we are in a similar situation that we were in last year. Current property taxes for this year, or for 2012, we collected about 97% of those taxes. 97, a little over 97, which is what we would normally budget, and it's right where we expect to be. The challenge we have is that there are a huge stockpile of old commercial appeals that have been on the books but not resolved until now. And the current assessor is trying to settle many of these cases. They settled what they call the PAR Group. It's a tax consultant company that appeals, mass appeals for commercial entities. They settled the 2005 and 2006 appeals in April. And they returned over $2 million in property taxes to these groups, to these companies. So basically, we're likely, I'm going to have to probably amend this number because we were hoping to come in at $155 million. We're likely going to end up being about $1 million below what we had projected, simply because of these returning of property taxes for 7-year-old appeals. Now, the part that's concerning is that they're working forward. So they're up through 05, 06 now. We still have 07 forward that are still out there hanging, and we'll have a new set for 2013. So this is something we're just going to have to get used to and try to figure out how to plan for it. I also wanted to point out that on our local sources of revenues, we again, last year, if you remember, we got a pretty big bump in our financial institution tax as a result of Scottrade's financial institution taxes that are collected by them, or all the transactions run through their headquarters. And we didn't budget the same level we got last year, simply because it's a pretty elastic funding source. I mean, it has a tendency to go up and down, but it did come in high again this year. So that's very good news for us, and will, for the most part, or actually maybe even a little more than offset the reduction in the delinquent property taxes. So moving into expenditures, we're projecting $218.6 million in operating expenditures. Salaries and benefits represent 85.8% of that. Our program budgets represent 12.9%, and our school operating budgets represent about 1.3%. This is the similar schedule as the revenues. Again, current actual, or last year's actuals, this year's projected, and then 5 years out. I just wanted to point out a couple things there. As we've gone through the last couple of years, I think I've shared with everyone that our self-insured health plan had also been struggling for 3 years. We'd had deficit spending and spent down much of the reserves in that program. We made a number of plan design changes, raised deductibles, co-pays, established a high deductible health plan this, effective January 1 of this year. And it looks like, right now, that program's performing very well. Through the first 3 months, I haven't seen the April numbers yet, but through March, we've actually run a surplus of over $1 million in that program. So, I'm not sure it will continue, because at the beginning of the year, you have all of your deductibles that, the members are paying their share up front. But it does appear that we've eliminated the deficits, and hopefully we'll rebuild some of the fund balances there as well. So that's very good news also. From the retirement piece, I wanted to touch on that a little, simply because there's so much discussion about the state of Illinois' retirement plans and all the issues they're having, and I just wanted to make it clear. The teachers' retirement system and the non-teachers' retirement system in education in Missouri, there is no state money in that program. It's all funded by employee, retiree, and school district contributions. So we're not really dependent. It's not really dependent upon state funding, and that's essentially the issue that Illinois has had. And both of our plans are funded about 80%, which is considered very, very strong. So I feel good that those are going to be in place. The actuary this year for the program recommended they not raise contribution rates for next year. So, and last week or 2 weeks ago down at the MOASBO conference, they shared that I think the investment income for this year is up around 12%, and they project their estimates they need to make 8% to meet their goals. So it's looking good right now. And then one more thing I wanted to point out is that on the programs piece, when I talked a little bit about bond funds being gone at the end of this year, I included $1 million in the 13-14 programs budget to fund any emergency repairs that may occur in the summer of 2014. We won't have bond funds to depend on, and we know roofs are going to leak and compressors are going to break, so I did plug in $1 million for that as well. But as you can see, it looks like, or we're projecting that our expenditures will actually decline 0.23% next year, and stay relatively flat moving forward. So this is a schedule that really tells us what's happening. Again, it's the revenues, expenditures, and fund balances projections. Last year, we spent $14 million more than what we brought in. This year, it looks like we're going to be on the positive side, close to $1 million. And then moving forward, we have small operating surpluses each of the next 5 years, and that allows us to build our fund balances back up to a little over 18%. I'm going to run right through this one since you've already seen this chart. And I just wanted to touch on a couple what I'd consider notable items that are included in our budget proposal. Again, this is the $1 million I just mentioned for capital replacements. I also have had included in our proposal $100,000 in the environmental services budget. That's the budget that Eric Leaders manages. About $50,000 of that would be used to fund the 3 sites, the ground-mounted solar panels at the 3 sites, and then the balance we were going to propose using for energy efficiency items like the light bulb replacements and other things that had payback periods of less than 5 years. Basically, what we're doing is spending a little bit money up front, knowing that after 5 years we're going to be saving money. It'll all have been paid for, and we'll be saving money for the district moving forward. That's in the proposal, and I wanted you to know about it and be okay with it. I touched on the expansion of the compostable meal tray project, and again, the proposal that we would increase meal prices 10 cents. And then again, the CNG grant project, again, $1.5 million of that is funded by a Clean Air federal grant. And then we would be anticipating borrowing the money to fund the rest of the 30 buses. So in summary, operating revenues are going to exceed expenditures. We're going to rebuild fund balances. We're doing that by cutting $12 million in ongoing funds, and we're also aided by your adjustment to the operating tax rate generated $8 million extra funding. We did this without compromising mission. Operating revenues are projected to increase 1.25% for next year due to the increase in financial institution tax, sales taxes, new construction, and VST reimbursements. Operating expenditures are expected to decrease 0.23%. Again, the budget, $4 million in budget cuts are offset by other cost increases that were already in place. I do have some potential future concerns. The first one being the overall economy in general. I have no idea what's going to happen there. You hope we continue to improve, but we'll see where that goes. The continuing low interest rates, we don't see that changing for a while, and that does cause some challenges for us. I mentioned the backlog of old commercial assessment appeals, and also the depletion of the 2008 bond funds. And then finally, to address the question that Mr. Jacob asked regarding fund balances, our board policy says that we need 17.3% of our budgeted expenditures on hand June 30th, and essentially that provides funding, a cash flow for us until property taxes become available in December and January of each year. That level was sufficient to allow us not to borrow, to do tax anticipation notes or do short-term borrowings up until just a couple years ago. And at that point, the reassessment schedule changed, or the property tax rate setting schedule changed. We used to set tax rates prior to September 1. Now we set them prior to October 1. Well, when you do that, it delays the billing of property taxes, and it delays when property taxes become, when they're paid and when they're distributed to us. So we used to receive property taxes beginning in November. Now we began receiving them in December. And I've looked at the numbers, and I mean, if we want to avoid borrowing annually, we'll need to build those reserves to 24%. Getting them back to 17.3% will allow us to borrow less. But if you truly want to avoid borrowing on an annual basis, you'd need to have 24% of our budget in funds available on June 30th. And I've had some conversations with some of my peers, and they're finding very similar things. So,
What did borrowing cost us this year, Mark?
about $50,000. The interest was around 40, and then there were some issuance costs, so it was real close to 50,000. And again, we had to borrow more this year because our funds had dropped, our reserves had dropped to 14%. So we won't need to borrow as much moving forward, but. And we're not asking for a recommendation tonight. This is intended for discussion, and then we'll bring back the formal proposal to you at the June meeting. And at this point, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
I guess on the point you just made on borrowing costs, how fast do those go up with increasing interest rates?
Well,
we're historically low. Is that?
Oh, we're historically low. We paid on this year that 50,000 or the 42,000 in interest was based, I believe, on 1.8%. It was a little less than 2%. And the loan we took out, we ended up borrowing $20 million, but we took it in stages from October 15th through the first part of December, and then we paid it all back December 15th. So you really only have these funds for a month and a half, but you're borrowing $20 million. But yeah, if interest rates jump back up to 4% or 5%, that could easily jump to $100,000 or $150,000 for just a month and a half.
And you said for the 24% reserve figure from our current 17.3, what is that? How much are we talking about there?
How much? I'd have to have my calculator to figure out the numbers.
I mean, in millions.
Let's see.
But,
yeah, you're asking me to do math in public.
I like other people to squirm occasionally over math questions.
Well, our expenditures are at 215 million, so 10% would be 21 million, 2.1 million. We want to add 7. It's another $14 million or so.
So there's probably some balancing act between
yeah,
how the interest rate's looking and how much do we want to feed that beast.
Yeah, and I'm not standing here tonight saying we should make more cuts to raise reserves. I'm just saying that we need to be aware that we likely will have to borrow some moving forward, and that ideally, as things improve, maybe you can adjust that reserve requirement and avoid that, what I would consider wasted expenditure.
Okay. And then earlier you mentioned that the high deductible health plan seemed to be performing well, at least through March. I guess, what's the participation rate in that one? And
Okay, yeah, and it wasn't, I really haven't looked at the separate plans.
oh, you're talking about.
I was looking at the overall
Oh,
self-insured
okay.
plan.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, we do have, but on the high deductible plan, I think we have 142 members in it. So it's not a huge group at this point, but it was kind of it was a nice group for the first year. But we have, last year at this point, we had 7 high cost claimants, and we only have 2 this year. So part of this is probably tied to some of the wellness work. Some of it's tied to some of the changes we made in the plan design, and some of it's just luck.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a quick question. On your operating expenditure projection, everything is going fine. When you look at the subtotal, it's a million or so more than the revenue. What's the anticipated unexpended budget? There's 4 million, 3 million, and that's how you get.
Absolutely, and what, you know, if things proceed as we would expect, we would normally expect to end the year with $3 million unexpended is traditionally how it would fall. And that primarily comes from the fact that we allow our schools to carry forward their unexpended fund balances at the end of each year rather than, you know, I've seen it happen before. If you tell them they don't get to carry their funds forward, they spend it. So you know it's gone. And what this does is allows them to plan for bigger expenditures. They can replace classroom sets of desks or do computer labs or things that bigger expenditures in their buildings. But generally speaking, they'll carry over 1.3 million of that. That's what it was the last couple years. We also know that we budget staffing at 100%, assuming that every position we have is going to be filled 100% of the year. And we know that we have turnover during the year. And, you know, even if you fill positions, you still end up having a month or 2 months of time for each position where it's vacant usually. So we do usually have a fair amount of salary savings as a result of that. And then we also try to be somewhat conservative because I really don't want to be in a position of being mid-year and out of money. So the $4 million we have on this year, the reason I have $4 million in there is we actually upped that just recently because in the budget adjustment was on the consent agenda tonight, we included the funding for the CNG fueling station because they're actually designing that now and will begin construction before June 30th. What we'll end up doing is carrying forward a lot of that to finish the project this summer. So I would expect most of that $1 million will still be there or unpaid as of June 30th. So.
Great.
My question, Mark, is are the TLA changes, the structural changes, going to have a budget impact, negative or positive?
Shouldn't have a significant impact. There could be a little bit. One way, you know, I'm not completely sure exactly how that's all going to play out. Their reorganization included a reduction of a couple positions. So, I mean, that is part of the budget cutting recommendation. So I would say that it is going to save a little bit, but it's not going to be a large change in expenditures. I think this year next year they're going to be down 2 positions.
Administrator or support staff?
Next year it is 2 certified staff positions, and then the following year, one of those comes back and they lose a half-time administrator, if I remember correctly.
All right. Thanks. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Times 2.
Thank you.
14.0 policy review. There is none. 15.0 call for a special meeting. I'm not sure that we have yet called for our retreat dates. So I'm going to call for them.
I don't think we have.
I'm going to call for them now, May 31st and June 1st, just to be on the safe side. 16.0, call for executive session on June 12, 2013. May I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education call for an executive session on Wednesday, June 12, 2013 at 6:30 p.m. and/or immediately following the regular meeting at Central Middle School for the purpose of, one, for considering legal actions, causes of action, or litigation involving the district and any confidential or privileged communication between the district or its representatives and its attorneys, 610.021.1. 2, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by the district when personal information about the employees discussed or recorded, 610.021.3. 3, preparations on behalf of the district or its representative for negotiations with employee groups, including any discussion or work products, 610.021.9. 4, individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, and records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment, 610.021.13.
So moved. Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Applebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Jacob?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Ms. Mogerman?
Yes.
Dr. Ciortino?
Yes.
Ms. Feldman?
Yes. Did I need to have a roll call vote for calling for our special meetings? Okay, good. 17.0 recess, 18.0 we are done with our closed meeting. 19.0, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thanks. At this time, we will adjourn.